Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of grateful Salakia, of great millstone, who rule well through the Spirit. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. All right. Do a lesson on this article, Lord willing. It says, Slavery's Shameful Legacy. Some of Britain's top firms were built up from compensation paid to former slave owners, says Maggie Pagiano. Now, and that's what happened. That happened with Britain, as we were discussing this article, and it happened with America too. See, America comes out of Britain. All right, so they both had a lot of the same practices. Okay. Like where did America get the idea of imperialism from? The British was like that. It was called the British Empire. All right, imperialism. You're going over to other people's countries, and you conquering them and setting up puppet leaders so you can filter, or so you can pilfer their natural resources. Just like America's foreign policy, which is written from Henry Kissinger, is to keep other countries in the third world state so America can benefit off of their resources. That's actually on the books for America's foreign policy. So I'll get this scripture right here. This is a table of contents, Psalm 10. And 3, for the wicked boasted of his heart's desire, and blessed the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth. Now see how these people got blessed. Here it is. Britain ended slavery, so-called, in the 1800s, early to mid 1800s, but yet they blessed those people with compensation for not having slaves anymore. Basically, they gave them reparations. And the same thing happened in America as well. All right. So for the wicked boasted of his heart's desire, and blessed the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth. So there's an instance of the covetous being blessed. All right. Back to the article. All right. It says, when the British government abolished slavery in 1833, around 47,000 individuals involved in the slave trade were compensated for the property they had lost overseas. The property in question referred to the men, women, and children whom they owned as slaves, as well as the plantations. To compensate for their loss of slaves, the UK paid out $20 million, which is around $2.4 billion adjusted at today's prices, and financed them by borrowing. So they borrowed the money. They didn't have it. They borrowed it. The debt was only paid back in 2015. Academics so roughly 200 years. So it says academies at University College London have created a database which tracks the slave owners who benefited. It says many of them had links to or founded some of the UK's biggest companies, including Green King, P&O, RSA Insurance, Barclays, and even the Bank of England. The sums paid out are not to be sneezed at. Benjamin Green, founder of the Green King Brewery and Pubs chain, was granted nearly $500,000 in today's money when he surrendered rights to 3 plantations in the West Indies. Simon Fraser, one of the founder members of the Lloyd's of London insurance market, was given nearly $400,000 to surrender an estate in Dominica. The Bank of England apologized for its part in the kidnapping and transportation of thousands of slaves, promising to remove portraits of those involved in this unacceptable part of English history. Green King and Lloyd's of London were also quick to apologize for their past role in the slave trade after news of their links were published. They have offered to make amends for their slave legacy, saying they will fund projects to help Black and other ethnic minorities. They are right to do so and to have reacted so promptly. Cynics might say they did so to avoid any damage done to the brand if those same protesters who have been pulling down statues of flame.
Taxes are
I don't know why this video keep popping up. I try to click exit out, whatever. It says cynics might say they did so to avoid any damage done to the brand if those same protesters who have been pulling down statues of slave owners were to boycott their pints or insurance services. Right. And the thing is, you can't pay that back. Well, you can pay it back, but this is how you pay it back scripturally. Let's get what the scriptures say. Okay, that's good. This ain't what I wanted. It says, Proverbs 13:21, evil pursueth sinners, but to the righteous good shall be repaid. But here we go. This is Job 20:18. That which he labored for shall he restore. So everything that the Edomites, the Esau race have labored for, they're going to restore it because they labored to steal. The scriptures in John 10:10 saying the thief cometh not but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. That is the legacy of the British Empire. That is the legacy of the United States of America. That's the legacy of the European Union. That's what rose these different countries to prominence. Stealing by going to other countries and using manipulative practices to pillage lesser people that were weaker militarily. That don't mean that these people were stupid the way they like to put it. It says, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. So you don't get to, totally destroy a people, dehumanize them, come up with sciences to say they're not human, and justify your mistreatment of them by saying that they're less than, by just, saying sorry and set up a little couple charity projects that our people never gonna benefit from anyway. You don't get to just do that. The scripture says, according to his substance shall the restitution be. So if you if you stole something from me and you passed it down to your children, well, regardless if your children didn't steal it, it's still the burden on them is to repay it. And you don't just get to, if you steal a book collection from me, you gonna give me one book. I got a whole collection. You got to give, it's according to all the deeds. It got to be fully repaid. Talking about something, they gonna set up a little fund. They gonna set up something to help black. No. It don't work like that. It says
taxes are too high.
Get rid of this thing, man. It says more pertinently, that view seems unfair. Green King's boss, Nick McKenzie, sounded genuinely mortified by the brewery's inexcusable past. More pertinently and more importantly for future generations, he said the company's website will be updated to include the history of its slave owner founder. Similar contrition has been shown by Lloyd's of London, and the insurer will also be contributed to charities. But the banks, which also have links to the slave trade, Lloyd's, IBS, HSBC, and Barclays, have yet to comment on the UCA report. Many will question where this thirst for raking over history will take us. Should every company in Britain which was in existence at the relevant time go through its archives to see what lies buried? There are all manner of skeletons they would prefer did not come railing out of the cupboard. The fortunes of many of our Victorian ancestors were built on the labor of women and children in the workhouses of the Industrial Revolution. Should their relatives be compensated? And what about recent transgressions? The list of corporates with dodgy, not so distant past is long. Clothing giants that make their fortunes from sweat factories in Asia, banks such as HSBC laundering money for Mexican drug lords, or standard chartered channeling funds for Hezbollah. Should they pay back their victims, assuming they can't be identified? Will there be boycotts as there was of Barclays in the 80s over apartheid in South Africa? What about buying oil from rich Middle Eastern states, which did not stop slavery until the 1960s? When people drive their Porsche, do they worry about the Nazi past of its founder? These are delicate issues. Right, so anyway, I read that article at length, but get some scriptures to deal with that. This is Habakkuk 2:16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned upon thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. So what do these people glory in? They glory in their empire. Talk to the average American, even so-called black people, with everything that the nation of Edom has done to us now, our ancestors, through all out our history being here. Just talk to an average American about the state of America comparable to other countries. They say we got the greatest this and we got the greatest that and we this and we that. But how? Off the backs and off the horrible acts and of what you did during slavery. You got free labor. And we was also inventing things. So you got that too. All right, but now you got shameful spewing on your glory. Everything that made your country great was based off of slavery, and even Britain as well, because that article was about Britain. Okay, and now it's being talked about everything. Well, you got this because of this. The scripture speaks about. Let me see. Sirach chapter 10, and 8, because of this Sirach 10 and 8, because of unrighteous dealings. See, that's how you became that's how you became glorious, through your unrighteous dealings, your injuries. See, you was lying to people, making peace treaties, but you was actually lying. You weren't making peace treaties. You made them think that there was peace, and you went to war with them. All right? Or you made them think you was doing something good, but then you poisoned them. Like they gave those Native Americans smallpox. They had smallpox infested blankets. You think they stopped doing that? Why you think we got a Center for Disease Control? All right? Not a Center for Disease Prevention. It says, and riches got by deceit. So you got your riches by deceit. The kingdom is translated from one people to another. All right, so the kingdom of the earth, the rulership of the world, that's determined by the Lord, and it was given to you Edomites for a time, and now this is what you have done with it, and now the Lord is going to take it away. All right, I'll read verse 4. The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. And who is that? His son. See, he done set you over it, and is the earth profitable right now? No. The bees are you done endangered the bees. You done endangered the bees and the trees. Two things that work in tandem to make life properly inhabitable. You got the chemtrails. You're trying to block the sun. Because the plants need the sun to properly, photosynthesis, all that science. And then we eat the plants. So there you have it. Now you know, this is Luke 12:2. It says, "For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known." So everything is coming out. All right. Everything that was done in the dark is coming out to the light. All right. And now everybody, now you backtracking. You people knew that before. See, the thing is, Esau Esau knows things. I was at work and I was riding. I was just riding. I was just, I heard a conversation, and Esau was talking to another Esau, and they was talking about history, and it was in depth, like in depth history, not common history that people that you will hear in regular conversation, Alexander the Great, or you read about the Renaissance period, not no common history type thing, just like some in depth. So Esau knows things. They knew that these people had slaves. Come on, you know how big of a business that was? Ain't no country, ain't no, is my opinion, ain't no business coming from Esau that's been around for hundreds of years. Had no hand in no slavery. But it's a win-win situation. You buy somebody for $102 and you own them from the rest of their life. You take care of them at a minimum, and you get a maximum output. And then they having children. Then they have children. You breed them. It's like selling puppies. Except you train them to work. Like, come on now. Anyway, let me get the scripture. This is Job 20:4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his heads reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yeah, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. They also which saw him shall see him no more. Neither shall his place any more behold him. Right. So this is they will be chased out of the earth. This is the punishment that the Lord has promised to the nation of Edom. All right. You will no longer have a place on the earth, because your whole purpose was to what? Kill, steal, and destroy. The scripture says the kingdom of death reigneth not on the earth. I'm going to get that real quick. The scripture says death was defeated. Esau, the nation of Edom, is the harbinger of death. All right? Let me see. Oh, pardon me. Yes, in Wisdom of Solomon. Let me see. This is Wisdom of Solomon 1:14. I'm going to start 13. For God made not death, neither hath he pleasure in the destruction of the living. Esau do. For he created all things that they might have their being, and the generations of the world were helpful. And there is no poison of destruction in them, nor the kingdom of death upon the earth. Right, because if death ruled the earth, then the earth would eventually die. And Esau, being the harbinger of death, if this rulership remains, the world would be destroyed. They will find a way to destroy existence, because that's all that they do. That's what they tailored to do. Look how much war has increased on the earth since they came into power. All right. Let me read this. Verse 10. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods. So now the offspring of old, now they trying to, they trying to pacify the complaints of the people that are oppressed. But it can't be only the Lord can pacify it, because these people got a hatred against us. They got a hatred against us. It's inherent. It's just there. Look at the whole Black Lives Matter thing. Why should people are saying Black Lives Matter? It's this comedian. He ain't say Black Lives was superior. He didn't say Black Lives was dominant. He just said that they matter. And now people want to say all lives matter. Well, all lives are not at the don't face the same damage as Black lives do. So even that all lives matter sentiment shows you that they can't. This nation of people can't feel empathetic towards you. The Chinese people don't got to worry about getting gunned down in the streets by police or Japanese. Or look at it with 9/11 and the so-called Arabs and the Muslims and all the terrorist attacks and the SEAL Team 6 and Osama bin Laden and why you don't hear about too many Arabs getting gunned down? Because it's clear, the evidence shows it's clear that these lives matter. But, anyway, it's all that Black Lives Matter thing is all just a farce anyway. But I was just using that as an example. This just how the so-called, this just how these people feel. But the Lord matter of fact, I ended with this James 5. Because that's who's going to have to plead our cause. None pleads our cause. The scripture says no man pleads our cause. But this is the book of James 5. I start at 4. It says, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, cried. Right, so the slaves was crying, and the descendants of the slaves, we crying now. And the cries of them which have reaped are enter into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. So the Lord hearing us. All right. So with that, Lord willing, this was edifying us to the hopeful elect. Call Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash.